Good morning, Nick.
Hey.
Tom mentioned earlier today that with Michael and Jack going to try to practice today, I mean, you have a sort of a plan for what your week's going to look like in regards to practice reps, or is it going to still be sort of a day at a time type thing?
I think it'll be fluid and kind of see how those guys, are able to operate and move around, and we'll take it day to day on that. So obviously the sooner in the week that as far as the availability of any player, you make plans accordingly to that. But you also, have the ability to adjust and adapt if things improve or get worse as the week wears on. That's pretty standard with a lot of positions. So certainly that one's important, relative to the types of plays that you want to put in the game plan. But we'll have to have some agility there and be able to adapt.
I guess just kind of regarding Donovan, again, it seemed like he was a little bit more comfortable at times, maybe getting out and running the ball. Just how much have you seen him maybe kind of ease into, is a guy that can probably affect the game in multiple ways because of his athleticism and his comfort in the open field, ease into maybe trying to be a little bit more kind of dual threat and a little bit more sort of threatening defenses with multiple aspects?
Yeah, I think the thing that, we're trying to help encourage and coach Donovan is to make quick decisions, relative to both in the running game and in the passing game. I think, in order to play quarterback at a high level, you have to be decisive, know when to throw it, know when to run it, know when the journey's over, and nothing good can happen from this point forward and taking care of the football. So, we're trying to coach him up through that, and he does it well at times. Certainly it was a challenge the other night, not just for him, but for the whole offense. We had a few third downs where we just didn't execute and weren't able to sustain drives there, where if we had been able to convert in those situations, you would get into a little bit of a rhythm, a little bit better flow than what we obviously did. And that would be, him included. I think it's hard. We went 3 and out too much, and we had a couple 3rd and 2s we didn't convert. We had a 3rd and 4, we get a false start, and if you're able to convert in those situations like we did at different times in the first half, then for him, I'm sure he would be able to get into a little bit of a rhythm, a little bit more comfortable. But just for him, just trying to get him comfortable, make quick, good decisions, use his athleticism, use his arm strength when those opportunities present themselves, and. Despite our struggles the other night, he made progress in some areas, did some things better. You mentioned the run. I thought that was an excellent run. Obviously showed, his physicality, his speed, his athleticism, and we got to build on that moving forward. Yeah, I was, yelling at him to look out for the guy that he didn't see. He didn't hear me and just kind of bounced off of him. So, we call that the blind pursuit. It's usually not the guy you do see, it's the guy you don't, relative to fumbles and those types of things. But, I think his size, he's a big kid, and sometimes you lose sight of that when, you're around him every day and then you see him out there on the field. I mean, he's a big kid and he's only going to get bigger and stronger. And but certainly he has some great natural ability. And we're trying to do everything we can to make him feel comfortable out there each and every snap. And I thought at times he did a nice job of that, and obviously the whole unit, myself included, we got to do better.
Yeah, Coach, you kind of alluded to it, but I was going to ask you about the stretch of, the 4 straight 3 and outs, because you had the effective touchdown drive in the second quarter where you guys were mixing it up. Was it a case of them making adjustments and maybe you guys didn't counter adjust, or how would you describe maybe that stretch?
Yeah, I would say, there was really three situations, on 3rd and manageable where we just didn't execute well enough. We had a 3rd and 4 and we got a false start, which can't happen. Then you go back to 3rd and 9. And when you're playing that defense, their 2 edge rushers are excellent, and certainly the advantage goes to them in those situations. When you're in a drop back, throw the ball on 3rd and 7+, it's just not ideal. So we had a false start on 3rd and 4. We had a 3rd and 2 where we had a miscommunication between the quarterback and the center, and we snapped the ball unexpectedly. And we didn't convert, And then the other situation, we tried to run a play. The official ended up standing over the ball properly. There's no issues with the officiating on that. And we didn't communicate the run. And we ended up letting D lineman run in our backfield and getting stuffed on a 3rd and 2. So, when the drive where we did have success and scored, we created an explosive play, and we were able to convert, a couple manageable third downs. And we just never did. In those situations, we got into some manageable third downs. We just didn't execute in those areas. And then once you earn that first down, you're able to, kind of play with a little bit better rhythm, a little bit better tempo. But certainly we need to be better in those areas to give our team an opportunity to win. And we didn't do that Saturday. But that's what I would say. That's when you look at those drives, we didn't execute on those third downs that were manageable, that we could have executed and converted. And we got to create more explosive plays. And that's ultimately how you score points and move the ball down the field. So we didn't do a good enough job of that the other night.
This is probably part of that discussion too, the fact that I think there were only 2 catches by wide receivers on Saturday. Just as you look kind of the whole picture there, what do you think is, what all just sort of has gone into not having the wide receivers as involved as you'd like them to be?
Yeah, I think we got to do a better job, and that's not on them. I think certainly getting first downs and creating more opportunities for all of your offensive playmakers to become involved is critical. But we need to get those guys more involved. They need to touch the ball more. They're very good players, and we need to do a better job of making sure that they are involved. And that's as simple as that. So we didn't do a good enough job, and we need to do better.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on that. Ty Freifogel didn't even have a catch. You're talking about a guy who's all Big Ten last year and everything. Is he seeing more double teams this year, or has it been more of a quarterback issue?
Well, I think relative to the game the other night, we just need to do a better job. Whether it's the quarterback finding him, whether it's designing plays for him more specifically. I think, again, you're balancing trying to get a young quarterback comfortable to where that he's seeing it and throwing it and feeling comfortable with the concepts that you're running. And but certainly Ty needs to be a focal point, and he has been at times this year. Certainly in the early half of the year, he's been targeted, more than anybody else on our team. Certainly the other night, not enough. And so we need to do a better job of that because he's clearly one of our best players.
I know it's a big if, but if both Jack and Michael are able to go, is there a scenario you could see where all 3 quarterbacks could play?
I think we'll have to play that by ear, and just based on the availability of those guys, and we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. So we're taking that a day at a time relative to those guys. I know, TA mentioned that, and we're, as a coach, all the guys that are available, you got to prepare them and being, ready to play and ready to contribute, and whatever we got to do to try to win the game, and we'll do the same thing in the following weeks is look at the availability of the guys, who's up, who's ready to go, who's ready to play, and however we can use them to help our team win, then that's ultimately what we'll do.
You went from a running back room that was filled with talent in the spring to now being mostly walk-ons. Could you talk about just the effort of those walk-ons to go out there and run hard game after game after game, never knowing when they're going to actually have an opportunity?
Yeah, I think both Irv and Chris have done a nice job, and they certainly, have had different roles throughout the year and have contributed, but certainly their contributions have increased. There's no doubt about it, and I think both those guys have done a real nice job being prepared, being ready to go, and playing awful hard and making some good plays, some good runs for us. So, it's a little bit of a different room than certainly at the beginning of the season, but those guys have done a nice job, and they do have talent, they do have ability, and Coach McCullough's done a great job of making sure that they're prepared and ready to go, and their roles have continued to increase as the years progressed.
Do you expect to see more of the young guys out there now in the last 3 games?
We're really we're focusing on trying to win the game, and whoever's available, whether they're an older or a younger guy, we're going to make sure they're ready to go, and whoever we feel like gives us the best chance to win, those are the guys that'll be out there and playing.
You've played multiple quarterbacks this season. How has that affected the rest of the offense? Like, for instance, a guy like Ty Freifogel mostly has a bit more chemistry with Mike, whereas he might not have the same chemistry with Tuttle or McCulley, and each quarterback offers a different situation for an offensive line.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, not just for Ty, who's had a phenomenal attitude and is a wonderful kid, and a super talented, hardworking kid. I think not just for him, but for other guys, you're trying to run concepts and schemes that fit whoever's behind the center. And, while it benefits them, you're also asking other players to maybe do things they haven't done as much of. And so I think that's a balance that, you look at your offense and you try to have enough scheme that can adapt and adjust based on who's playing for you. But at the same time, the only way that you get good at anything is you do it over and over again. And our guys have had a great attitude. The quarterback situation relative to just stability has been what it's been. And the guys have had a great attitude, and we need to keep improving. And I think your point is well taken and fair that, there has been some juggling relative to schemes or types of plays or the manner in which we operate, depending on who's been back there. And but the guys have, they've been busting their tail and working hard. And but to say that it has not been a challenge, I would agree with you on that. But we don't make any excuses, and we got to do better and find a way to get more first downs and score points to help our team.
Donovan's talked a bit about trying to kind of find a way to feel comfortable. You've been with him on the sideline now, because what are things you're talking about with him on the sidelines, or like maybe different like things you're working on with him to try to help him feel comfortable, especially in an environment like what you had on Saturday, where that's not really the most kind of places to try to start feeling comfortable on your second start?
Yeah, I think, you gain confidence through your preparation, making sure that you're prepared going into that moment. And so that's certainly a focus for us, just with a young quarterback, is making sure that, your Monday, your Tuesday, your Wednesday, Thursday, et cetera, is where it needs to be relative to your schedule, your preparation, your film study, all those things. So that's been, that's always a learning and a teaching process for a young quarterback. And then in the middle of the game, you go into the game expecting certain things defensively, but everybody that you play, regardless of who's at quarterback, they always have a wrinkle or two based on who you are, what they've studied on film and the way that they want to try to defend you. So I think when you have a young quarterback, the ability to adjust is always a process. It's always the ability to recognize what the other team is doing and trying to adjust accordingly based on things you have in your system. When you have a younger quarterback, that's a little bit more challenging to do. But he's been great. Every single snap he takes is a learning experience, and good or bad, because he's just a young quarterback. That's just part of the process going through that. So his attitude's been great. His toughness is great. He's just learning, each and every play. And there's ups and downs with that. But I think the most important thing is his confidence in himself, his ability to, just keep playing and keep competing. But you try to get him comfortable in the game, getting some first downs will help, And when we did that, he did a nice job. If you're not able to get into a rhythm and you have too many 3-and-outs, it makes it hard to play quarterback for sure. And so we're working on doing a better job with that. Okay, thanks, guys.